Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. We fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom. And to keep
On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, Mike and Bennett are talking about urban patrolling. Urban patrolling, like MOUT, but not just MOUT. Patrolling in an urban terrain. Not really getting into the nitty gritty on how to take down a house. That's more MOUT.
That's MOUT.
That's MOUT. But more like, you know, the considerations of an urban battlefield vice rural terrain or mountainous. Every battlefield is different and difficult in its own complexities, but in urban terrain, it's a 360 degree.
It's a let's call it what it is. It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, it kind of is a fucking nightmare. I take that back. I saw the desert one time when I was in Iraq. Once. We drove out into the desert. That was it. And the rest of the time was in the city of Ramadi. So I have a lot of experience doing urban patrolling. Whether that be vehicle mounted or dismounted, walking around with guns and stuff like that. Did you guys in recon do a lot of urban shit like that?
No, really just scouting. Recon, actual recon, reconnaissance patrols.
Right.
Actions on the objective. We'd hit shit and fucking scoot, or fucking we'd sit in Overwatch for fucking ever.
Dude, that's the thing that people don't tell you about with recon and like scout snipers and all of this shit.
Scouts in general and like all that shit is that most of the time it's a long, boring fucking job, man.
Well, it's like I watched Saving Private Ryan when I was a kid and wanted to be Barry Pepper's character, where you're walking around as a precision asset within a squad. And then later on, when I get into the military, I realize that's actually a designated marksman. And then I get told, oh, well, that school doesn't exist.
Yeah, we don't do those anymore.
I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? And then wind up going to DM school, which is another episode that we've done. But it was like, yeah, I want to do precision weapon stuff. No, I don't want to sit and hide. And no, I don't want to shit myself for a couple days at a time while I'm trying to observe an objective. I want to run around with a precision gun and smoke at distance and shit like that, you know?
Yeah,
anyway.
Well, the way, of course,
I didn't
the
do that.
Hollywood shit doesn't exist. That's like 1% of your job.
Right. Maybe.
Because maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I'm just saying, like, yeah. Especially with recon, that shit, god damn. Like, I mean, we do a lot of you do a lot of snooping and pooping and freaking, you know, observing and terrain, you know, sketches and shit like that. And this is really like before guys really started carrying cameras and things like that.
Right.
Or, you know, you could send up a drone and get fucking, I'm just saying the mission has changed now.
Yeah.
So back in my days, though, we would sketch the shit out of an area, and it's not that they don't do that anymore. But a lot of that, I'm telling you, I think that they created that just a complete boredom. Let's just sketch the position. Sketch the thing in Overwatch and tell us exactly what's there.
Right.
But that's the thing is when you're in a real situation, you've got to pay attention. It's not like something where you can go into a zone because you want to get the movement, like the actual, like, what are people doing? What are, you know, the movements? Right. Is there a pattern? Blah, 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 this and that and the other thing. And it's not, it gets boring, but you have to like slap yourself into, you know, anyway, regardless, people get it.
I know what you're talking about. Oh,
so, you know, we'd sit up on top of a building or up in a, you know, just outside of town and sitting in a site up on a ridge or something, overwatching the whole fucking area and blah, 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 blah.
Well, in urban terrain, what we would do is get into some sort of position, and then we would. It was always you just have flat or sometimes three-dimensional objects that you needed to work with, but you're talking about buildings and different types of terrain, and so you had dead space. You had shit tons of dead space.
Yeah.
So it just wound up being eventually, we would do an X, a Y, and a Z axis in order to show basically like here is the corner of these buildings, and then here are the windows in the building given where they could potentially be, and then yardage to these different known points that are around there, so that you knew the deepest you could possibly shoot with all of the dead space that's behind it and any of the active threats. So yeah, it was unique. Some of these sketches would be more outline than anything else.
Of course.
Well, but I remember in school, man, I would fucking sit there for hours in DM school and sketch whatever was in front of me. And that was something where it was like homework and shit too. Like go out and do a sketch of something. You feel like you're in art class or some shit, Mm-hmm. But in urban patrolling, see, that's the other thing too, though, is that where your guardian angel, another episode that we did, where your guardian angel is when you're about to leave and go into his dead space. Because that's the other thing. Like, urban patrolling is all about planning, of course, like any other patrol, but it's planning to know where your checkpoints are going to be so that you know who is your overwatch as you're traveling through. And if you can imagine it, put essentially, a box in front of you where you're traveling through a box. And in these given boxes, you need to know who is overlooking those given boxes. That was the easiest way for me to mentally put it. Otherwise, it was just too complex to try to know, like, okay, now we're in Kilo's Overwatch. Kilo's AO, who is the squad that's in Overwatch? And we have scout snipers who are in support over here. So as we're traveling around... It's when
you remember the I mean, if you want to get straight schoolhouse on it, this is something that you learn in... It's the 6 principles of urban patrolling. Mm-hmm. You remember that shit?
No.
Back in the day. How the fuck do I remember it? You don't remember it.
I do not remember it.
So you've got depth.
Mm-hmm.
Mutual support.
Yep.
Deception, pattern avoidance. Inter-patrol communications, and establishment of a reaction force. And then it's a, like you said, 3-dimensional threat.
Nice.
So depth.
I've definitely done all of those.
Yeah, the restrictive channelizing nature of urbanized terrain usually limits a patrol's ability to disperse laterally, obviously.
Yep. That's why you put dismounts on the ground. See, people are like, why do you guys put a dismounted element on the ground when you're in CAT? And it makes so much sense to us and 0 sense to somebody else. Like, if I put a dismounted, and not saying but let's say, for instance, the plan calls for dismounts to punch out to the left. Maybe we're traveling northbound. As we travel northbound, we realize that there's an obstruction in the road. We could push dismounts out to our flanks, and then they could patrol up in advance, scouting out whether or not anything's, going to happen. Okay, they take contact on the right. Dismounts now that are on the left can maintain that cordon of safety while the vehicle pulls up and brings the ass to the fight, meaning that 50 cal on top is about to fuck up anybody who decided to shoot at my dismounts.
Well, you kind of get the advantages. You get to leverage the advantages of both methods.
Correct.
Of mounted and dismounted.
Yeah, and I got rockets in the back, motherfucker.
Right. So, but you have increased interaction with locals, route flexibility and stuff like that with dismounted patrols, increased situational awareness, but obviously they're more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Due to limited armor, slower rate of movement, obviously, and it's not like a dude can carry a 50
Right.
With him. But obviously, then you've got the mounted stuff, and it's still. I mean, we're not teaching a class on this shit. It's just.
Well, what I thought,
But that was one of the best things is using that, dismounted mounted patrol tactic effectively. I mean, we did it all the time in Bosnia and other places that I've been deployed. That
Right.
was especially in an urban terrain. That's the method of choice,
Yeah.
because driving around in a vehicle just alone by itself a lot of times just sucks. Talk about your asshole puckering. For me at least, like, what am I gonna fucking hit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it
And then
depends,
there's
yeah.
other times you want to fucking scoot.
Well, you can't.
Certain neighborhoods, you're not fucking.
Oh
You're
yeah.
not just nothing. You're just not.
Well,
Period.
if you
You know
look
all about
down,
that.
if you look down a street in the souk and all of a sudden there ain't nobody there, like, no. Either I don't want to travel down there for a given reason, a tactic that we're employing, or shit's about to go down.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Well, and you can't necessarily say that there are broken down into different strict categories of types of terrain that you're going to encounter in an urban environment. Everybody is thinking about a city here, but I want you to think about a city in Iraq, which might have hardball. Hardball being like,
Maybe.
hardball being basically like asphalt, but then you've got trash on the sides. And oh, by the way, they can put IEDs into fucking curbs and stuff. And so then, an up armor supercharged Humvee, I mean, shit, man. You can do about 50 plus miles an hour, somewhere in that band, depending upon what your weapons, ammo, how many people you got in the truck, shit like that. But I would fly through 295 doing easy 50 miles an hour. Like, you ain't getting me this time, Hodge. Whoa. And when you're lead truck, you just haul ass. Like, everybody else has to keep up with your op tempo or slow it down and then slinky back based upon your tempo. So you can fucking kill somebody, too. You cut something wrong or do something wrong and, you can blow up the front end of your truck. You can't cut corners. So you're always on this weird, it's like Tron on your goddamn, light bike or whatever. Anyway. But you can haul ass on hardball and then you start seeing puddles and shit like that. I mean, depends, man. You want to blast through a puddle? Your gunner's about to suck shit water. So, I mean, how we doing this? We even had SOPs for that. Willie, shit water. And he'd pull his poncho. Just pull that fucker like Batman's cape. Straight over top of him. One time Warren was driving. Oh my God, dude. It was like right after the rains and everything. And it is filth on the streets of Ramadi. It is shit water. Piss everywhere on the streets of Ramadi. It is disgusting. But it's a sunny day. And it's hot out. And I couldn't make this up if I tried. A family in a white Opal is packed. They have like 12 people. It's like 8 kids and 4 adults in this vehicle. And they're just packed and all the windows are down and we are hauling ass down this street and Warren hits a puddle. Wham! And just, oh my God, dude. It was like a tidal wave, like a tsunami drenches this family in just filth. It would, oh my God, it was so bad. It would be like jumping in Lake Bandini. Everybody was covered in disgusting filth, and we just kept driving because we had places to go. We had shit to do, and it was like, what? He's just like, yeah, should have had their windows up. Just. It was one of those times where it was like, yep. Oh, dude. Good times. And of course, the road is like half dirt afterwards. When it all dries out, where does it go? And so now that's part of the urban environment that you're dealing with as well. So that's something else that needs to be in consideration for your urban patrols. Because a lot of guys are like, no, I would rather be dismounted. Look, man.
You're so mean. It's fucked up.
See, but like...
Let me, oh my God. That's horrible. The freaking opal story. I had my mic muted and I was talking to you, but you couldn't hear me. So
no worries.
Sorry about the delay on that, guys. Holy hell.
Yeah, dude. Good times.
You're so mean. So mean.
What are you going to do? You got to keep going.
I'm only fucking with
Well, and what's funny too is, so there's so many other different considerations, and I enjoyed being in a cat team. Everybody said, you don't want to be mounted in an urban environment because you're a fucking target. And I agree with that to an extent, but when you're walking around down on the streets, I mean, you're tiptoeing through filth. You know, I would much rather be a couple of feet above that filth, rocking and socking at 50 miles an hour with a badass weapon system on top and a whole bunch of war fighters in the truck. Like, that's my game. You know what I mean? I'm that guy.
Yeah,
I would have been a samurai. I bet I was a samurai back in the day.
Bullshit.
Probably like a knight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
just
filthy,
raging in battle.
Filthy, disgusting knight.
Filthy. Well, it's like I say. I got a clean heart and a dirty mind.
That's right. All chivalrous and shit. My ass.
Right. No, there would be no chivalry. Okay, so what would I be? A berserker? I don't know. Maybe a Viking? I mean, I love my woman.
No. There's a semblance of chivalry within you, for sure. But that's one of those things, is like the vision of this knight. It's not all fucking sunshine and rainbows, like,
no.
So
okay, maybe like some William Wallace shit.
Dirty rat bastard motherfuckers. But
dude, I'd be out there Braveheart style. I'd be that guy. Let's just pinpoint it right down. In a past life, I was probably doing some Braveheart shit. Right? I love the Highlands, want a big ass sword, would love to cut somebody in half with that shit. And then, in another life, I probably was a mountain man at some point in time, I would assume. I don't know.
Could have been like that guy in World War II that carried a fucking broadsword around.
Yes.
We talked about on a previous episode. Fucking dude carried a damn bow and a broadsword in the battle in World War II.
That's
what
epic.
The fuck?
Dude, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a German soldier who's going against this guy or something, and then...
Oh, I can tell you what you do. Some Indiana Jones shit. Fucking that guy starts swinging that sword around, you just pop him with your fucking right. That fucking guy, one of the most iconic scenes in any movie there is. That guy with his scimitar just fucking... And then he's like, oh, ha, ha.
Yeah.
And fucking... He just fucking pulls out his gun, shoots him, and fucking walks away. Drop the mic, bitch. That's what you do. Fuck your fucking sword.
I heard a story that Harrison Ford came up with that on the spot. He's like, wouldn't I just shoot him?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to go hand to hand with the guy. Are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
It's one of the things I love is how like you have this, it's like this worship of the past. You know what I mean? Like that everything was better back in the day. And that, we were all chivalrous and
fuck that.
We rode into battle on horseback and we all dismounted and yada, yada, yada. And there was honor, there was honor with it. Fuck you. I'm going to shoot your ass. I'm not going to fucking sit there. Why am I going to get into a fist fight or a fight to the death? It's obviously people that want that have never been in a real fight. That's what it is.
Right.
So you have all these fucking men that have never even been punched in the face, let alone gotten to an actual like fight for their life.
Right.
You know what I mean? That kind of fight I'm talking about. Or like, dude, if you don't either fight back with everything you have, you're going to either end up in the hospital or you're going to be dead kind of fight. If I have a gun, I'm shooting a motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's not like
oh, you're a fucking pussy. I've actually had people say, no, you're a fucking pussy. What?
Right.
Wait, what? You want to kill me with your hands or a knife or whatever, but I'm a pussy for shooting you? Fuck you.
How does that play
You're
out?
fucking dead. You're dead.
Right.
I am not. I win.
I don't know why people think it's cool to get into a fight to the death. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't fun. Okay? Like, you train for it all the time so that you don't have to get into a fight to the death. What do you think we're doing over here?
Again, it's the bullshit Hollywood fucks shit up.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, you clock a dude with a shot right in the face, probably there's a 75% chance the fight's over then. Right there. No, seriously.
No, I know what you mean.
Because
you're talking about a fist fight.
Yeah.
You punch a dude in the face, and it's about 75% of the time it's over.
It's over. It's over with one shot. Period. If it's a one-on-one fight. Because if it goes any longer than that, it ends up in ground fighting.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, I swing.
See,
I don't talk shit. I don't push. I don't fucking yada, yada, yada. If I know that shit's going down, I clock that bitch right in the eye. That's what I'm saying. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to win.
Oh, God.
Unless one of his buddies blindsides me or something along those lines. I mean, yes, I'm not saying I'm some kind of badass. I've gotten my ass kicked plenty of times.
That's why you're saying this.
But what I'm saying is the guy that started shit didn't win shit because I fucking clocked him.
Life lessons.
It's too often guys think this shit is like a Jet Li movie or some shit.
Negative.
Or like Lethal Weapon. Motherfucker, no.
And it's not an MMA fight either.
You don't take 5 shots to the face and get up. That doesn't happen. And if you do, then I'm running.
Right. I just hit you with 5 haymakers and you stood back up. Mm-mm.
No, I mean, not, or the guy hitting you just can't hit.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, if you know how to punch or get into some guys they just don't know how to fight. I'm saying.
Oh,
this
man.
Is reality. This is fucking reality here, folks. Reality. I mean, people get hit with a shot. Sometimes, I mean, I've seen dudes get hit with bad motherfuckers, right? Or guys that have the perception of being bad motherfuckers, right? Because they're blustery and they talk shit.
Right.
Or maybe they've been in fights and you've seen them smoke motherfuckers. But I've seen guys like that also take a shot that like broke their fucking jaw, or take a shot where it like cracked their eye orbit, stuff like that.
Right.
Like, and you know what? Here's the other thing, and this is why I don't like to fight. After all said and done, it was long, hard lessons that I learned because I fought quite a bit back in the day, dumbass me. And this is one of the reasons my hands are so fucked up.
Right.
Because that shit hurts.
Right.
Somebody in the fucking
You don't
face.
always get the power shot. Every once in a while, you hit a pinky and get a boxer's fracture, and you're like, yeah.
Not punch a dude in the top of the head.
Don't do that.
So I'm just saying, there's things like that, like the face.
Oh my God.
The face a little bit, but I'm telling you,
stay under the eyes. Stay under the eyes.
Right. Even if you win a fight, you're coming away hurting. Your hand's gonna fucking hurt for a few days. Period.
Oh man.
The best tips and tricks from Bennett on fighting. One of the best places to hit a motherfucker is just square in this fucking back.
Oh yeah.
Get him to fucking. I used to always love to try and pull a motherfucker's shirt over their head and just start wailing on their kidneys. That was the move. And guess what? It didn't hurt as bad.
Oh,
I'm just saying. Or, you know what one of the best shots to freaking punch a dude to end a fight is? Right in his fucking thigh.
Yeah.
Just fucking knuckle up and just smoke him right in the thigh with a giant Charlie horse. I'm telling you. Take a fucking full-fledged shot to that, or you know what? Bottom line is make a phone call with this fucking ball sack. You want to end a fight quick, kick him in the fucking balls, hit him in the balls.
Well, and it's funny too because you brought up Indiana Jones, right? And
Yes.
and
how we evolved from that. I'm just saying.
No. Indiana Jones is the closest that I could put to what being in the middle of Afghanistan urban terrain was like. But also, because other people have asked, what type of movie is the closest to some of your encounters? And the other would be take Black Hawk Down, right, when they're driving through in the Humvees and everything else, but put the people in the market from Indiana Jones. So you have herds of people that you need to go through, right? And
oh God, especially on market day. Jesus.
Oh, of course. Well, and any time that you go to the souk.
That's basically in any fucking country over there.
Right. So now, granted, you're in full kit, you've got your weapons, so on and so forth. Not a whole lot of people, are going to mess with you or anything else. But there are other times also. Now, okay, great, you're in full kit and you're walking around and stuff. How mobile do you really think you're going to be? And a lot of people are like, oh yeah, man, I'm going to take it to the ground and I'm going to do all of these different things. I'm going to do whatever I can in full kit to not take it to the ground. And if we do go to the ground, it'll be me tackling you with my, in full kit, I'm like 350 fucking pounds with my weapon and ammo and everything. I'm going to like shatter your little Iraqi body when I jump on top of you or whatever. And so there are other times also, getting back to what you're saying, as far as like getting into a hand-to-hand engagement, the whole point is to just immediately smash whatever that is down. It's not to stand there and get into a boxing match with somebody.
No, fuck you. You're out of your mind, dude.
Right. Well, it goes back to when we were talking about Guardian Angel and we were talking about life, limb, eyesight, rape. What are the justifications for deadly force? That force which a reasonable or prudent person would consider most likely to cause death or serious bodily harm. They haven't done that yet. So how do you escalate a situation to de-escalate a situation? Like, hey, buddy, you should probably stop beating these people up. No, you're not? Okay, I'm going to hit you in the head with this fucking fire extinguisher, which is what I did as event staff at the Hyundai Pavilion one day. Oh, man. I was fresh back from Ramadi. Oh, it was nothing but deployment angst. And this dude was lighting fires in the out crowd and throwing women into the mosh pit. I hit him in the head with a fire extinguisher 3 times. Fuck that dude. Right? There was nothing fair about it. I didn't tell him it was coming. This is happening.
No, but why? There ain't nothing fair about a fight. I mean,
right.
I never understood. No, I mean, if you're like in a street fight and you're like getting paid for that shit, like some Kimbo Slice shit.
Oh, dear God. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's the game we're playing, that's one thing. I would never play that game.
No, it's a game.
No, that's just dumb.
We're talking about real life shit.
I'm just saying that I'm not going to be like, because I bounced for years.
Right.
In probably a dozen different clubs and bars. And don't call me Dalton or anything. But I used to be able to handle that shit. Like,
I love Roadhouse.
That's a great movie.
My God.
But it's not my job to sit and fight a motherfucker. It's like I used to always just love it, man. Like, oh, come on, let's go outside. Okay, let's go. All right. And I learned that from that movie. I am saying. You know, and we always that was the idea is get it outside as fast as you can, because then you sit there and then you control the fucking door, the choke point.
Right.
They're not coming back in.
No.
You know what I mean? No. So
you have purposely removed yourself. What are you going to do? Beat the shit out of one bouncer and then walk past all the other bouncers back into the club? What are you thinking here?
Not going to happen.
Right.
Not going to fucking happen. So anyway, regardless, I don't want to go down that road again.
Well, but that same mentality, though, is the outside mentality of a would-be aggressor when you're standing in an urban environment. Urban means highly populated, not just that you're inside of a city. Yes, you're going into an urban environment, like mout towns, for instance. Those are there so that you can practice flowing through a town. Yes, they're there for
Well,
urban
and controlling choke points and things along those lines.
Right. So what you're talking about is a little cordon inside of a building using your team to potentially remove an aggressor from that building. Same basic principle. You bring it into an urban epicenter, and you're walking around. Let's say you're dismounted, you're mounted, whatever it is, you're giving a hard target perception. It's one of these things where it's like, it sounds weird and maybe a little cheesy, but I learned kind words, heavy heart, thick skin, and hard knuckles when I was in Ramadi, because I could play with the kids and hang out and do whatever. But like, if you came up and started grabbing on my pouch, I would probably swat you.
Right.
Like hard. And I would probably backhand your little ass because you know better. And it was weird because in urban patrolling, you're surrounded. You're like dripping with people.
Especially kids.
And
fuck.
And at first you're like, get these fucking people away from me. Get them all away from me. Get them all away from me. If they're not around you, you're going to get blown up or get in a firefight.
Right, pretty much. Yeah.
And that's not using somebody as a human shield at all. That is walking amongst the population, amongst the populace, so on and so forth. That is winning hearts and minds. And if you're separated from the population and they don't want to be around you, you are not doing your job correctly. I'm going to tell you that much right now. Whereas if they feel safe around you, and if something does happen, and if the kids do want chocolate, but then there's boundaries. There needs to be respect that's made. Right. Wahida, mister, no problem. No problem, mister. Makoshi. Right? That type of shit. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. That's why.
That's mushy motherfucker. Move out.
And that's why when people are like, dude, you don't want to be into the city and all of that. And I'm like, look, man, I know how to handle the city. I can go into any big city. Fuck you. But the thing is, though, is that you're going to see the unwholesome side of Mike Penny. I'm going to tell you that much because it totally makes sense why people in New York City are assholes to each other. Get the fuck out of my way. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, ah. But it's funny, though, also because it's one of those where people can be a good thing and people can be a really bad thing. They can either be a goddamn target or they can wind up being, like the betterment of your urban environment. So a hard target Marine still needs to carry a smile. Like you can wear dark sunglasses and protect your trigger well and the whole night, or your trigger assembly and your magazine well. I always flattened my hand out and brought it across my trigger assembly so that they knew my entire hand was off the pistol grip. And then I would cover my magazine ejection, my you know what I'm talking about, my mag release button.
Yes. Because
kids would tap that shit. They thought it was cool. And that's a bad thing. And I'm telling you right now, if you touch my weapon, I don't give a fuck if you're a man, a woman, or a child. Something bad is about to happen to you. Okay? I tell you right now. So I would just cover that, and then I would put out my hand, my left hand, and shake with my left hand. Unless they were like a sheik or somebody of prestige. And then I would bring my weapon across, like when you do a transition. You know how you holster your sword kind of a deal? And then you shake with your right hand. Dude, that is a huge consideration when you're working in an urban population and you're going around and through and everything. Because we're talking about patrolling. We're not talking about hitting a house. We're talking about the patrolling side of it and what you have to battle. Oh, by the way, here's what I fucking love. Here is what I love. When a father and a son come rolling up to your checkpoint and you've done a snap VCP because in the middle of it, you've actually cordoned an IED. So now you've done a snap vehicle checkpoint and that's all that they see. And then when they're there, they're upset because he's walking his kid to school. And you go, well, there's boombala, there's bomb. Okay, now, more often than not, there really is a bomb. But sometimes there's not a bomb. And we send out all of these things and everything else. Right. Now, they have to deal with this every single fucking day. And you are in between his walk to school with his kid. He either is going to be like, I don't give a fuck, just let me go by, because it's quick, right? So you have to be like, you can't, well, there might be a bomb, though. Well, okay, there might be a fucking bomb next to my house. I don't give a shit, I'm walking my kid to school, right? Or Or, now here's what I would try to do. I would try to say, we've set up a detour. And if we have foot traffic, and that was something that was a consideration we started to make when we were setting up vehicle checkpoints inside of residential areas, to where we knew that there was something over here, but we would post our cordon and say, if you just travel to that Marine, he will direct you to the next Marine. And it was cool because we were looking for vehicles more often than not, or whatever the be on the lookout was. We weren't looking for an old dude with his little kid who legitimately has a backpack, from the 90s or whatever, but they're rocking sweatpants and fucking jailhouse flippers and shit like that. And you're like, all right, whatever. This kid's going to school. Fine. Walk the detour. Adios. But those are other considerations that people never even think of. Think about it right now. If you woke up and you were just trying to go about your daily business and all of a sudden the cops are cordoning off different areas, that shit fucks up your day. You got a routine you're trying to uphold here. And that was some of the other things is there are operations, there are inbound and outbound vehicle checkpoints into Ramadi, which I'm sure there aren't now, but there are inbound and outbound checkpoints that were lockstep. You knew when they were going to open and when they were going to close. That's why they were targets. Those were our routine timelines. There was nothing routine about our patrol cycle, though. And so we would go out and snap and do whatever VCPs, but we would try to do it in a respectful manner to where they had a detour. They could do different things. And detours aren't always bad. We'll give you a detour. You can roll up in your vehicle and decide to turn down another alleyway 3 before. That's fine. That's totally fine. But I'm on my PRR telling Overwatch, who are 2 blocks over, watching you bang gears towards their paws, and they're about to aim 19 inches behind that steering wheel and stop that vehicle. I'm going to tell you right now, that's how you stop vehicles. You aim 19 inches behind the steering wheel, and you shoot that fucking driver in the chest. That is how you stop a vehicle. Just, again, urban patrolling. Just making considerations. Right? Because folks don't think about this shit here. They're like, man, that would
why
fuck
would
up
they?
my
They're
day.
civilians now.
All right. Well, and yeah.
Just until Red Dawn hits.
Oh, man, I'm going Wolverine hard. I'm going so Wolverine. Oh, man. A lot of people, hey, Mike, are you a prepper? No.
Let me ask you a question.
Not really.
Here's the funny part of this. And I'm going to be on another podcast here soon, a survival podcast soon, to talk about some shit, right?
Right.
But why? How fucking weird are you, or how fucked up is your life that you really pray and wish for this shit to go down?
Oh yeah, the full blown apocalypse, like those folks.
Yeah, like motherfuckers that want that shit. They're like the cleansing to fucking go down. You know what I mean? Like literally, that's like what I mean by that.
It shall be a cleansing fire, and we will rise like the phoenix from the ashes.
This doesn't have a lot to do with. I mean, it kind of does, I guess. I guess you could loop it back to urban fighting or urban what are
urban patrol,
urban patrolling and stuff. Is because a lot of us have seen what the world kind of looks like after 72 hours without services. You know what I'm saying? Because
my God, it really would just take that long. Like 3 days of
3 days, and the shit's gone down.
It's all silence for 3 days.
After 3 days, the shit's going down. I'm just saying. No, because what I mean is,
you're exactly right.
I know I am.
On that 4th day, on the 4th sunrise, if there is silence from everywhere,
especially if we're out when power's gone for 3 days.
Oh yeah. No power, no internet, no nothing.
No nothing. And then there's no refrigeration. There's none of that shit.
We're not, no disaster. No disaster. It's sunshine out. It's, people are trying to go about their business at this point.
But we have no power for 3 days.
Can't contact anybody. Your cell phones are off. Everything.
Serious shit.
How long is it going to take?
Period.
You're saying 72 hours too. Which I mean, oh man, the looting's going to start within 12.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, you know what though?
The cities are going down within 12.
Right, maybe. I'd give it 24 because people are still trying to figure out what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a hype. I mean, we had this in New York City not that long ago. Back in like 2002, 2003, right? When there was like that 24-hour blackout basically on in the Northeast.
Mhm.
Remember when that shit happened?
Right.
People were stuck, they couldn't get home. Subways weren't running. People were walking across like the Staten Island Bridge and freaking the GWB to get to New Jersey and crazy, just shit, right? That was 24 hours. So people are still mulling around like, what the fuck's going down? Like, what's going on? When's the power going to come back on? It's hot as fuck, blah, blah, blah.
Did they have cell phones though?
Everyone, you know what? No, because I remember we were trying to figure out what was happening. Now there were places that had like backup generators. So like if you actually had a radio that like you could have batteries, you could listen to terrestrial radio.
Right. You
could also listen to like what is the emergency radio shit, the NOAA or whatever it is, the weather change. You know what I'm talking about? Like the federal.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And so you could still hear that, and like we were listening to that. Well, people were coming to us because I actually have a shortwave radio and I have some stuff like that I could still hear.
Right.
Like all of our neighbors are coming. They're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, basically, there's no power from here to, Virginia.
Right.
Or like Philadelphia or whatever it was.
It's crazy.
New York City, no power, this, that, and the other thing. So I'm saying 72 hours of that, you're going to have a complete breakdown of society because people have had, then we're talking hypervigilance and everything. You know what I'm saying, dude? This is a whole theory. We don't have time to go into it today. We could do a whole show on this shit.
I hope they got those lessons learned on urban patrolling.
I'm just saying.
Notes.
Just saying. I mean, we could do a whole prepper freaking one of these. It's not all theory. I mean, it's been shown across different countries. Shit, just not that long ago. I mean, look at Iraq. Look at Syria. Look at Somalia. Look at all these places. That shit happens.
Right.
Okay, and that shit would be probably worse here, because then you're talking about give it a month and you've got like
factions.
Almost half. No, I'm talking after about a month, I would give a full quarter of the population would be gone. They'd be dead.
Oh, just on survivability.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Clean water, food, and protection.
Yeah.
Well,
and
because think about this. I mean, people don't think about it. And you know what? Let's not. Let's do another episode on this at a later date.
Right. Just thought in closing. I would offer number one thing. The vast majority of my friends are proficient gunfighters.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Being a gunfighter means you either have to one of two things. You are a proficient gunfighter. That's great. And you know what? You'll make it through some of the stuff. The problem is that if you don't know how to grow food, if you don't know how to collect water, if you don't know how to do this without being a complete
self-sufficient,
a complete scumbag, and the guy, that guy, I understand you have to do what you have to do to survive. But yeah, man, you're not going to live long because you're just not. It's just not. The numbers are not in your favor.
Urban consideration.
That's why you don't want to be. That's why you don't want to be in an urban environment.
Right.
And if you are, you better own a fucking penthouse, and you better have a few years worth of shit. Just saying.
Well, we hope that you have enjoyed this this episode of Lessons Learned. So go ahead and subscribe, rate, review the podcast. Thank you to our sponsors, Heroes Media Group, Spartan Media, veteranslist.us. There are others that are out there that are coming on board. There are other folks who are helping us behind the scenes and putting all of this together. We work with a lot of veterans. We work with a lot of high-speed, low-drag business leaders and entrepreneurs who we consider downright patriots who have never served a day in uniform. And that's who we surround ourselves with, veterans and patriots. So if you're one of those folks, we highly advise that you follow us on social media at Cigars and Sea. You will find us especially on Facebook as well as Instagram. It is at Cigars and Sea. And out in the Twitterverse, where we like to get our conversation on from time to time. More of that in the works, a much more sophisticated method of engagement that we've got coming up here, so stay tuned. And we hope that you enjoy Cigars and Sea Stories. We hope that you join the conversation. Go ahead, subscribe, rate, review, and share with the world. Keep adding value to the world, folks. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Cigars and Sea Stories. Bennett, I love your body, dude. And on that note, we cue the music.